Township Parsippany-Troy Hills Township Council Agenda Meeting, April 9, 2013. Public invited, public participation. Meeting called to order by myself at 7:30 p.m. Please rise for a flag salute. Mr. DiPiero, if you would.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Here.
Mr. DePiero.
Here.
Mr. Ferrara.
Here.
Mr. Nelson.
Here.
Mr. Stanton.
Here. Others present. Mayor Barbario, Jasmine Lim, Business Administrator, Paul Cazarelli, Assistant Business Administrator, John Inglesino, Esquire, Township Attorney, Yancy Wazirmis, Township Clerk. The purpose of this meeting is to set the agenda for the regular Township Council meeting on April 16, 2013. Formal action may or may not be taken.
Adequate statement of compliance. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law by filing the notice in the office of the Township Clerk and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin board at the Municipal Building on December 10, 2012, where it has remained posted since that date. A legal notice appeared in both the Daily Record on December 14, 2012, and the Star Ledger on December 13, 2012, and was forwarded by fax to other local newspapers and local radio station on December 10, 2012. In addition, adequate notice of this location change of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law by filing the notice in the office of the Township Clerk and by posting the notice on the bulletin board at the Municipal Building on March 12, 2013, when it has remained continuously posted. The legal notice appeared in the Daily Record on March 13, 2013, with the location changes for the specific meeting dates. Note, a new day and time council meetings are videotaped here on Cablevision Public Access 21 at 12 p.m. on Sundays. They're also available for viewing at www.parsippany.net.
Okay, before we get started, I'm going to turn the floor over to our attorney, John Inglesino, on the water view update. Mr. Inglesino?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Council President. I don't know, although I suspect a few folks may be here tonight to hear on the Waterview rezoning petition. The Waterview rezoning petition will not be considered by the council either tonight or at the April meeting next week, the regular council meeting. I received a phone call from Mr. Rob Simon, who represents some interested folks who are objecting to the zone change petition. And he has requested a professionals only meeting with planners and so forth, and I think that it would be appropriate to accommodate Mr. Simon's request, and so my office is in the process of coordinating that with him. Obviously, that will not take place, probably will not take place prior to next Tuesday's meeting, but we anticipate that it will take place prior to the end of the month, and we'll have a further update at that time. So there will be no action taken either tonight or next week at the regular meeting of the council with regard to that ordinance.
Okay, presentations. Proclamation presented by Mayor James R. Barbario to Susan G. Komen, Newark, Jersey, Race for a Cure for Breast Cancer Awareness. There'll also be a certificate presented by Councilman Karifi, Township Council, Parsippany-Troy Hills, Susan K. Komen, Newark, Jersey, Race for a Cure for Breast Cancer Awareness.
Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills proclamation celebrating the 6th annual Komen North Jersey Race for the Cure, May 5th, 2013. Whereas breast cancer is the leading cause of death of women between the ages of 35 and 64, and increased public awareness of this disease, its risk factors, and symptoms may save the lives of women across New Jersey. And whereas the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation is dedicated to education and research about causes, treatment, and the search for a cure. And whereas the Komen National Race for the Cure Series, an event of Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation, is the largest series of 5-kilometer races in the world, raising public awareness and much-needed funding for breast cancer research. And whereas on Sunday, May 5th, runners, walkers, survivor, co-survivors, and volunteers will unite at a new race location to be held at the Essex County South Mountain Recreation Complex for the 6th annual Komen North Jersey Race for the Cure, 5K certified run, 5K walk, and 1.5K fun walk event. And whereas last year, the Susan G. Komen North Jersey Race for the Cure brought together thousands of women, men, and children from North Jersey and beyond and raised over $1 million for the North Jersey Service Region to help fund breast cancer research and provide local community life-saving education, screening, and treatment services. Now therefore, I, James R. Barbera, the Mayor of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, do hereby proclaim May 5th, 2013 as Susan G. Komen North Jersey Race for the Cure Day in Parsippany. And be it further proclaimed that all Parsippany citizens are encouraged to participate in the Susan G. Komen North Jersey Race for the Cure to help raise funds and awareness for the fight against the life-threatening disease, to join the celebration of survivorship, to honor those who have dedicated their lives to researching, treating, curing, and caring for victims, and to those who have lost their battle with breast cancer, dated this 9th day of April, 2013. Tina, congratulations to this.
I'd just like to thank the mayor and the township of Parsippany for this proclamation, and I want to thank all of you for coming, and hopefully you can come out and participate. As this proclamation said, we did grant out $1.2 million to local nonprofit organizations to provide screening, education, and treatment, and we sent $470,000 to Komen National for research. Every dollar counts. For every $165 we raise, a woman or a man can get a mammogram, and that one test may save their lives. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you on May 5th.
Again, on behalf of the council, we would like to thank you very much for everything that you do. Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills presented to Susan G. Komen Cancer Foundation in recognition of your efforts to increase public awareness and provide funding for breast cancer research. The Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills supports the Komen North Jersey Race for the Cure on May 5th, 2013.
Okay, we have one more presentation. Is anybody here on behalf of the Barbershop Harmony Week? Okay. Ordinances, second reading, public hearing. Status of adopted ordinances. Ordinance 2013:05, 2013:06, 2013:07, adopted date March 19, 2013 for the three. Mayor's action, March 22nd, 2013. Effective date, April 11, 2013. Discussions, reminder, scheduled meetings, April 16, 2013, 7:30 p.m. Regular meeting at the Parsippany High School, public invited, public participation. May 7, 2013, 7:30 p.m. Agenda meeting, Parsippany High School, public invited, public participation. Minutes for approval, March 11, 2013, special meeting, March 19, 2013, regular meeting, March 19, 2013, closed session. Okay, administration, everything's set for next week?
Just a minute, can I- Before you go to administration, I'd like to give everybody an update on the FEMA flood mitigation grants. We've went out to bid on, so how many occasions? 3 occasions? Two occasions each, and the bids come in high, and they were rejected. I just wanted to give you an update that, Council, that we are going to be moving forward, hopefully with negotiations with the bidders, and hopefully we can get this underway. As you know, we're obligated by FEMA to follow the state and FEMA guidelines when it comes to awarding these grants. Therefore, the township can't just, go and we want to let the residents, elevate their properties, but the problem we're having is the fact that the bids are coming in too high. And they are allocated a certain amount of dollars to do that, each home that's being elevated. And those bids have been over, I don't know about how much, but whatever they would get from the FEMA loan, they would have to make the difference up. So, and a lot of the residents in Lake Hiawatha area don't have that kind of dollars. So we're going to go to the next step, and I will keep you updated in regards to the flood mitigation when it comes to FEMA.
Okay. Administration, everything set for next week's meeting?
Yes.
Okay, you wanted to, discussion additional funding request? Okay.
You may recall that last year, funds were allocated to the Rose House for an apartment house building along with a group home. Last month, we changed the location to Henry Street. We're going to, actually, I'm on the wrong topic, but it's related. We are going, the funding for the Henry Street project, we are going to put those funds in escrow with the township attorney, and they'll be dispersed to Newbridge and Rose House. I'm not sure whether we're going to need a resolution from the council to authorize that escrow agreement, but if we do, I'd like to put that on the agenda next week on the consent agenda, if that's okay. And then the other item related to Newbridge and Rose House is they have a project on Moraine Road, which is a group home where money that we have already sent to the state from our housing trust fund, $250,000 of the $2 million would be used in addition to $250,000 match from HMFA for group home. Rose House and Newbridge are requesting an additional $52,000 from our Affordable Housing Trust Fund to cover some extraordinary items, including redoing the roof and the siding on the residence, a generator, and what was the third item, Mark? And an office so that they can maintain confidential records. And Mark Kramer from the Rose House is here if council has any questions for him. So can we put this on the consent agenda for next week?
Yes, I'm in favor. Anyone opposed? Okay, Township Office reports. Engineer report of April 2013, status of road resurfacing, put in stone area. Revisions to escrow requirements, connection with residential sidewalk driveway repairs. Canterbury Estates vacation lots 26 and 77 and block 98, and Glacier Hills sidewalk, no change to any.
Mr. Council President?
Yes.
I'd just like to ask the administration about the pudding stone area. Has there
Okay.
been any timeline on when that's going to get paid now that the settlement has been reached?
Well,
I could probably address that. There was a resolution passed, as you know, Councilman, and that is subject to an agreement which is currently being prepared by my office and will be negotiated. And that agreement will set forth the timeframes, as indicated at the last meeting, not only with respect to when the paving would be done, but also in regards to all of the other terms that are part of that agreement. So we'll have a more definitive answer for you when the agreement is done. It won't be for next Tuesday, but it certainly should be at next month's.
Okay, under township offices and committees, again, at our next meeting, April 16th, I would like to kick off our housing committee, which will be a new committee, and also get our economic advisory committee going. So anybody in the public here, or anyone interested whatsoever, please send your resumes into the township clerk. Yes.
Under Chief Financial Officer, we are planning to introduce the budget next week, at next week's meeting, if that's all right with the council.
Sounds good. Applications, resolution approving place-to-place transfer, expansion of premises of plenary retail consumption license to Holiday Inn. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to open this to the public.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Farrar.
Second.
Second by Mr. Greafy. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes. Okay, you'll be given 5 minutes to speak about any subject. Please come in, sign in.
Pat Pataccia, 182 Hawkins Avenue. At the last town council meeting, directed questions to Mayor Barbario, and I was told that I'd get the answers in the press the next day. And I still haven't gotten those answers. So Mayor, I'm going to ask this question again tonight. Were you in attendance on January 13th?
Ms. Pataccia, Mr. Mayor, if I may, Ms. Pataccia, the purpose here is to ask questions. The purpose of this segment is not to harass or to just take continued gratuitous shots at the integrity of the people who sit up here.
That is not what I am doing.
Ms. Pataccia, you're
You're
out of order.
interfering with my time, Mr.
You're out of order. You don't have
Brian,
time.
stop the clock.
Ms. Pataccia, you don't have time on this subject.
Thank you.
Okay? You have asked questions
I
that
have
have nothing to do.
freedom of speech.
Ms. Pataccia.
I have freedom of speech.
Well,
We went through
and you can
this.
exercise that speech, but not at this meeting. Now, Mr. Valori has made unsubstantiated allegations that the mayor has directly addressed.
He has not.
The mayor has directly addressed those in at least 2 public statements, as well as interviews with members
Okay,
of the
I'm
media.
moving on.
So, Ms. Pataccia,
I'm moving on.
I'm suggesting that the mayor not answer your questions.
That's
I think
fine.
your answers are out of order. They
That's
are
fine.
harassment-oriented. You've called the municipal building, threatening the mayor.
No.
And frankly, you're out of order. You're out of line,
Yes.
and that's the end of
Yes.
that.
Yes, Mr. Inglesino, according to you. According to you.
Okay,
Now,
Pat, we're
my
gonna start
time
your
is
time.
back
Ms.
on the clock.
Pataccia, you
My
don't have time on this question.
Brian, would you
Ms.
please
Pataccia, you do not have time on this
can you
question.
control the situation here?
Ms.
Thank
Pataccia, you do not have time on this question.
Brian,
Okay, we stopped the clock for you, Pat. Okay, continue now. Go ahead.
thank you. I'm asking you the question. Was Mayor Barbario and John
Ms.
Inglesino at that
Pataccia,
meeting?
again, your questions
Brian,
are...
I am asking you
This
that
is not an
question.
opportunity for you to stand there and take pot shots at the integrity of the people who sit up here on
Nobody is
this
taking
council.
pot shots of the integrity.
That's exactly what you're doing.
I am
Your
a
questions
taxpayer.
are
Excuse me.
completely irrelevant.
Excuse me, Mr. Inglesino.
Ms.
I am a
Pataccia,
taxpayer
you're-
of Parsippany. I am a taxpayer
And you're-
that has
Ms.
a right to go to
Pataccia, Ms. Pataccia, if you want to play
Brian.
politics, then play politics outside of this chamber, okay?
I
This
am
is not the place for political speeches.
I do not play politics.
Ms. Pataccia, you're here carrying the political water
Oh,
for
my
other
God.
candidates in the June primary. This is not the place for it.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Everybody, please, freedom of speech. I am going to sit down now, and I will be calling my lawyer tomorrow morning. Okay? Tomorrow morning, you are going to have a suit against you for denying my rights. Freedom of speech. You have no right to deny me, Mr. Inglesino. We've been through this before. I am now, in front of all these witnesses, telling you, you have now all taken away my freedom of speech. I am going right to my attorney. Thank you all.
Roy Messmer, 10 Drummond Drive. She's right, John. It's not political. But I do want an explanation from you tonight. This special meeting, is the public going to be can the public be in attendance with this board of view? Obviously, no questions can be asked.
No, it's not a public meeting. Mr. Simon had requested a meeting of professionals. It's a working meeting. It's totally appropriate, totally normal.
I've never heard of it before where the public could be present.
Well, meetings
I've been in
amongst...
front of planning boards, I've had special meetings, I had to pay a special fee, and the public could still be there.
Oh, first of all, this is not a planning board. This is a legislative body. I have recommended that the council honor Mr. Simon's request for a professionals meeting, which is totally appropriate. It'll be a working meeting at which he and his professional will be able to have a discussion with the township planner and traffic engineer. There's nothing inappropriate about it, and we've decided to honor his request.
I've never heard of it before. I'd love to see some precedent set on that. There was a gentleman that came up on March 19th. He asked a very, very good question. The 6 elected officials up here, have any of you received any political donations from the developer, R&D, or the owners of, raise your hand or say yes or no.
We've answered this, Roy. No, we haven't.
You haven't. I don't remember you answering that.
I believe everybody
Last
answered
week
this.
or whatever.
Well, the
Yes,
19th,
we answered this
but
to the public.
I don't-
Everybody had the same answer, no.
Does anybody have a relationship, including the attorney, with it? Are they friends, they play golf, they go to school together? Anybody up here?
No- For myself, none whatsoever.
I know, you only play soccer.
Yes.
No problem.
Nobody else? Nobody?
I do not either.
Anybody answer? Anybody? I asked the attorney to answer. You seem
Roy.
like you run this meeting, Mr. Inglesino.
Roy.
I don't even know why we have
The
it.
answer for me is
Mr. Mesmer, I've been adverse to the developer on other matters. I've never represented him.
No personal relationships? Past?
First of all, Mr. Mesmer, my behavior is governed by the rules of professional conduct. I don't know what you mean by no relationships. I have no conflict with the developer. I don't represent the developer. I've never represented the developer. In fact, I've been adverse to the developer.
Well, we'd like to know why you were there on Sunday night in January, but obviously you've covered that the way you want to cover it. Thank you, Brian.
Seeing nobody else come forward, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, okay. Please come sign in if you're going to talk, please. Thank you. State your name and address, please, for the record. You might want to take the mic down, so, just so we can hear.
You'll let me know. Well, I did want to come and give some advice to the Waterview people, having been one of the key people who stopped up that road to the ShopRite. But I see they're probably doing their thing, and Waterview people, if you're here, keep paying the lawyers. Get the money somewhere and fight, because you can win if you pursue it. We pursued it for 10 years in front, not 10, I'm sorry, 2 years in front of this council, not this council, but the same ilk. And we won. We took the judge in a car and drove him to the site where Johnny's Farm Road, the developer, Wilf, you were around, Mr. DiPiero. I don't think you were on the council then, you were on the Board of Ed. But we took the judge and put him in a car and drove him and showed him where the real Johnny's Farm Road was and where the one that Mr. Wilf and his crew made up and called that Johnny's Farm Road. That was the back road to the ShopRite. Wasn't. We went and showed him the little footpath that went to the drive-in movie and the little horse farm that was there at the time. And we won the case. They appealed it, and we won that. And the reason for the U-turn at the Holiday Inn, that U-turn, you never saw anything go in so fast in your whole life. A month later, there was a U-turn at the Holiday Inn so that the people coming down Beverwick Road, they could not come through Canterbury anymore to that back road, had to go through Beverwick and then onto 46, how to get to the ShopRite. The ShopRite was on the other side. The U-turn was in a month because, of course, you know, Wilf went to the state, paid off whoever he had to pay off there, and they got their U-turn. But we stopped that road in the back. It's paved, I mean, now it's falling apart a little, but we stopped it. And you can do it too. I understand the Pathmark is closing. If there needs to be a Whole Foods or a whatever wants to come in, there is the perfect place. We don't need any more. Every time the council, you do this, you fall in with the developers. You just do. I don't know what it is on the councils, and I don't care. I'm in this town for 40 years. And it happens every single time, and I don't know why. Why you can't just once stand up for the people you represent instead of the other guy, the outsider. All right, that's enough about that. I have it's hard for me to ask this question because it's really, I don't know how to put it. And I don't get nervous. Mr. DiPiero is my only witness, as we know each other a long time. I saw in the paper about a month ago, a liaison committee has been formed to the council group of people. I don't know what the problem is that there has to be a liaison committee, but should the rest of the population here start considering liaison committees rather than coming up here and coming up individually for our problems and whatever else we want to talk about, forming liaison committees? I'm asking.
Can I ask you what committee you're talking about? Because we have multiple committees, multiple liaisons to committees.
Well, I saw a liaison committee. It happened to be from the Indian community, big picture in the paper, so on and so forth. And I've never actually heard of liaison committees by, I mean, there might be one, I don't know, some political, the Kiwanis or one of these, whatever it is. But should the rest of us start thinking, rather than coming up individually for things, forming liaison committees as a rule of thumb so that when something does come up, we're already organized? Is that something that should be thrown out to the public? I'm throwing it out to you. Maybe we should, you know, look at something like that.
The committee you're referring to has nothing to do with the council, the one that you're actually referring to.
None of us serve on that committee.
Yeah, if I may answer the question. It's not a committee. It's a liaison to the mayor's office. from the Indian community. And also, I formed a committee, the liaison to the mayor's office, the Mayor's Council on Veterans Affairs, which I just did. And if you want to come on April 13th to the PAL, there'll be a presentation in regards to the veteran on the community affairs for all those veterans who served their time for the country, for the town, and stuff like that. So I felt a need to have that type of liaison as well. And that's really all it is. It's not a committee in any form whatsoever.
Well, but liaison committees usually are there in order to address a particular problem, a particular concern, something that is endemic to the group that has the liaison. Should we form groups, let's put it that way, whichever way you want to put it, a Canterbury group, a Sedgwick group, or this group, that group, on whatever basis, to start forming mayor's committees so that we can all sit in your lap and have committee stuff going on rather than...
It's not about sitting on laps, ma'am. It's about communicating. That's what it's about. So when you say sitting on laps as if it's a political appointment, it's not that. It's a reach out. It's a community reach out, something I believe in. Very similar to the veterans on the community affairs, community outreach, and that's what I'm doing. It's not about sitting on laps and being political. So I take that as an insult, but that's not what it is.
Well, maybe you should consider then some
Okay,
more
Ms.
varied...
Ms. Schuman, I have to tell you, you have 30 seconds left.
And it's very similar to neighborhood associations, neighborhood groups, which I'm in contact with. Very similar, same thing. And I go to a lot of those association meetings. I speak with the residents. It's community outreach, and that's exactly what it is.
Well, then I guess some of us should
we can
become
agree
a little more vocal in our problems and present them as committees, contact you and present our problems and whatever as a committee, rather than as a group. I don't want to say committee, I don't want to...
Well, that's what associations do.
Well,
we have associations, they have one contact person that contacts the Mayor's Action Center. We have several of them. They speak on behalf of their association. And that's something that I think is very good for the community, because you have one voice that can speak for that community when they have their own meetings, and they reach out to me about certain problems, certain areas in the town where they think, how we can help them in the town, or vice versa, street conditions, sidewalk conditions, and stuff like that.
Okay, I brought it up.
Ms.
I
Schuman,
have
I have to cut you off. Your time's up.
I want to say something about this.
Ma'am, I have to cut you off. I'm
Your
sorry.
time is up. There's a 5-minute limit.
You're over your 5 minutes.
You're over the 5-minute limit, so your time has expired at the microphone.
Mr. Creepy?
Okay, everybody. Vote every year. There's no such thing as term limits. They are in your hands.
Ms. Schuman? Ms. Schuman, getting back to your point about the Waterview project, I want you to know that I am sticking up for the residents and doing what I believe and looking out for the residents. Okay, so, and also, I'd just like to recognize that we have a lot of members of, a lot of our town employees here. I'd like to thank you for everything that you guys do for the town.
Mr. Nelson?
Yeah. I'm sorry, is it Mrs. Schulman or Mrs. Schuman? Schuman. Just hold on one second. I'm sorry, your last name, was it Schulman with an L?
No L.
Okay, Mrs. Schuman. I remember when they built Arlington Plaza. I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I actually remember that fight. And I was following you and pretty much agreeing with everything that you said except for just one point, and that was talking about moving the Whole Foods to where Pathmark is. I have no problem and no issue with people being for or against any kind of project, but it's certainly not the role or the responsibility of the council to play broker in telling where a private entity should move to.
I agree. I threw that out because...
Ms. Schuman, I'm sorry, but I can't have you guys going back and
That's
forth.
another question.
So you can talk.
No, so that was it. You made some very good points, but like I said, I feel very uncomfortable when people accuse And I know it's just a collective we up at the council saying that we're working for the developers, because that's the furthest thing from the truth. And I can certainly speak on behalf of all the other council members that we're all being very deliberate, and however this decision comes through, whether it passes in its current form or it doesn't pass, or however it does, the council is going to be doing it for the right reasons and not because we have any kind of relationship or have any kind of consideration with the developer. That's it. Thank you.
Good evening. Curtis Hardenberg, 85 Redgate Road, Parsippany. Mr. Nelson, you just brought up a good point where you said the council's not involved in the redevelopment, but really you should be. The whole state of New Jersey is about redevelopment.
No, redevelopment, I totally agree with you. No, but
Can I speak? It's my 5 minutes, right?
Yeah,
And then you can answer.
Sure, okay.
If you're saying that it's not your job, or it's not your responsibility, or it's not the responsibility of the council to check into whether path marks become unavailable, maybe it should be, because that redevelopment is what the state of New Jersey wants. You don't want an empty building there, not collecting money, looking ugly like Loman Ford. I mean, Loman Ford looks like hell. I don't know if anybody drove by it lately.
It was actually just rented out.
And there's also other places in town that are closed down that look terrible. I'm not sure if it's Denville or Parsippany, but on Route 10, where the diner is, that whole strip mall is empty. And it looks like hell. So really, redevelopment is a good thing for the town. And it is something that should be looked into if Pathmark is indeed moving. And another thing, like Mr. Inglesino, you brought up about Mr. Karifi sending out a mailer and being on the side of the people, like he just said, and him being possibly against it. But it seems like everyone else, the mayor's on the planning board, he voted for it that night.
I didn't vote for it. I voted for the overlay zone.
Yes.
To go to the council to vote on.
Correct. But
So
you
it doesn't
did
mean I
say-
voted for the project.
But you did say that the town needed money. You did say that you were for it because it was denied twice.
No, no,
So that
I'm
means
going
you're
to clarify
for it.
that when you're done. I'll let you finish with your 5 minutes.
So you did say it was denied twice and you're for it. Mr. DePiero said the same thing previous to you. He said, this is the third time, we have to do something, can't turn down the developer, can't turn down the developer. Well, yes, we can turn down the developer. It's zoned office. The people that own it at the moment know it's zoned office. Mr. Ferrara also might have his mind made up. It was in the paper, you're walking through the neighborhood telling people that you were for it. Is that correct? Is that correct, sir?
Oh, you're asking me to
Yes.
speak? You
yes.
said you didn't want to...
I'm asking a question.
Oh, I never said I was for it. I wanted the opinion of the people.
Wonderful, that's great. I'm glad to
I
hear.
said that last week too, or when people ask me, I'm here to listen until the end. and
I'm
then
glad
I'll
to hear
become
someone
my-
has an open mind. Mr. Stanton, I haven't heard anything from you either way, so I'm assuming you have an open mind. Mr. Nelson, I heard that you said they're going to do something with it no matter what. Is that true?
No, I never said that.
Well, then what did you say?
What I just said a moment ago?
No. About a week ago, it was said in Patch that you had stated they'll do something with it no matter what.
There's somebody who owns the property.
Okay, but it's zoned office, and the people that own it know it's zoned office.
Correct.
So why would you
I said
say-
something will get built there one day. There's only two options. Either something's going to get built, what it is, I don't know.
Well, all those offices are full. I've driven through there. There is a rental sign, but all the offices that are there are full. So for us to hear that it's not making money, they can't build offices, they can't make money, they're making money. The bank was just built. 2 other buildings were just added within the last 5 or 6 years. They're making money. So for this council to sit here, or the planning board, either way, we heard they can't make money. That's what they said.
Who's they? Are you talking about
The
RD
developer. They said they can't make money. And Mr. Pirro said they have the right to make money. The mayor said they have the right to make money. Well, they really don't, because Bellmead owns the property. The other developer has it. He'd buy it if it's approved. He didn't buy it yet. We haven't done him any harm yet. We haven't denied it yet. They're making money over there. Like I said, 2 more buildings were added. The bank was added. And for anyone to say to me they're not making money is bullcock. It's not right. They are making money. They're making plenty of money.
Well, let me just respond real quickly.
Okay.
I would assume, and I think Mr. Inglesino said it at one of the other meetings, that the contract for RD development is a contingent plan. They're not going to purchase the property if we vote against the overlay zone. My comment as far as something being built, that property is not zoned for open space. It is zoned for an office. One day that property is going to be developed. What it is, I don't know what it is.
But then these residents who are getting screwed on their property values will have their 200-foot buffer, okay?
But
That is what this is all about.
Last week, at the last meeting, we tabled the ordinance. We have no ordinance in front of us right now to even discuss. So I can assure you that the council is keeping, or at least I can assure you that I am certainly keeping an open mind. In fact, last Thursday, I actually met with the Don't Rezone Waterview people because I wanted to hear what they had to say. So you just have to keep in mind that I was sitting where you were sitting less than a year ago. I understand that people are very passionate for it, and we are listening and we are taking that into consideration. But again, I always feel uncomfortable when people accuse. I know it's just a collective. I know, but when people say that we're in a developer's pocket, it's just.
No, I didn't say that.
I know. I'm still reeling from the previous comments. So.
I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm just saying that I think some of you guys have your minds made up already. That's all. I'm not accusing anyone.
And also, you have to understand, the council didn't ask for this. This is being presented to us on something that we're going to have to vote yes, no, or put it back to the drawing table. And right now, that's at the stage where it's at right now.
Mr. Curtis it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
The part that you referred to me was simply that I was advising Councilman Karifi that, in my opinion, he had no conflict of interest in voting on the ordinance in light of materials that he sent out, and that issue was posed to me, and my legal opinion that he has no conflict to vote on this ordinance on the basis of what I have seen. But I do want to at least correct some perhaps misimpressions that may be left by some of the statements that you made. In New Jersey, just because a property isn't zoned for a particular use, that does not mean that a property owner may not have a legal right to use the property in ways that the property is not zoned for. And there is a doctrine, which is the inherently beneficial use doctrine, which holds that if a project has some societal good to it, that the Zoning Board of Adjustment, which is where you go for approvals for projects that do not comport with the zoning, if you meet what they call the positive and negative criteria. It has to be a positive societal benefit, and there can't be negative impact on the town. Not there can't be any impact on the town, but the zoning board has to balance the positive and the negative criteria. And the concern or the issue that was, the argument that was expressed by Mr. Scare was that that the property may be vulnerable to a multifamily housing project so long as 20% of that project was affordable housing. He's made that argument. We're reviewing that argument. I've invited comment from Mr. Simon with regard to that argument. And I will be providing my views on that subject at a later date. But I think it's overly simplistic, to say the least, to say that just because a property is zoned office, that means that the property owner doesn't have a legal right to develop something else on it, because that's just not true. It's not accurate.
But that's not the property owner. That's somebody who wants to buy it.
It doesn't
based
matter.
on what you're going to do.
It doesn't matter, because the contract purchaser has standing to bring that loss. The contract purchaser has standing, first of all, to petition the council for a zone change. That contract purchaser would have standing to appear before the planning board for site plan approval. That contract purchaser would have standing to appear before the zoning board for a use variance, and that contract purchaser would have standing to sue the town in a court of law if it so chose. So whether it's the property owner or it's an entity under contract to buy the property, no difference in terms of having the standing to pursue the application. Both before the town boards and council and before the court.
Then can I ask one other question?
So you have 30 seconds.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
If it's in the master deed that these people are supposed to get that 200 feet, is that true? Is that in an ordinance already? I'm just asking a question, I don't know.
Okay. Master deeds, which I think you really mean deed restrictions and ordinances, are two very different things.
Okay.
If a property owner has a restrictive covenant, such as a deed restriction, which is recorded of record, the town has no ability to overturn that. Frankly, that would be something that would be binding upon subsequent owners of the property. 200, I've heard no, I have not heard anything to the effect that the property is encumbered by a deed restriction with regard to the buffer. That is not something that anyone has mentioned, and I presume that's not the case, because I presume that that's something the developer would have looked to in their due diligence, and I'm assuming that that's something that a property owner would not do unless it was required to do so by the governing body or by the planning board as a condition of previous site plan approval. But I don't know if that's the case or not, but I assume it's not. The buffering that's in effect now is simply a buffering that was established pursuant to ordinance. And ordinances, of course, are laws that can be changed and frequently are changed from time to time based upon change in circumstances and based upon projects. I can tell you that with regard to the draft ordinance that is in existence but is not before the council right now, there was a lot of thought put into buffering to make sure that the buffering on this site would be greater than compared to other multifamily zones in the town, that the density would not be any higher than for other multifamily zones in town, and so forth. And those are issues that will be discussed and reviewed at a later date as the process continues to move forward. But again, I haven't heard anything to suggest that there's a deed restriction on the property with regard to the buffer.
Mr. Inglesino, if I may, I think what Curtis is referring to is that the current zoning for office has a 200-foot buffer in that zone. The purpose of the 200-foot buffer is to buffer commercial property from residential property. In this case, what will be near the residential properties are townhouses. Those are residences. So you have residences buffering from residences, which is slightly different.
Understandable. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Samuel Poff, I'm the president of the New Jersey Blue Collar Association. I represent the blue collar workers here in Parsippany. The reason we're here today,
Sam, just state your address, please, for the record.
203 Flemington.
Thank you.
Reason we're here today, we're a little bit unhappy that as of late, since Mayor Barbario has taken office, we've had a contract for 2 months. Active contract for 2 months. Our last contract went 3 years, 10 months. He came in office, signed a contract, had 2 months on it. We've been now without a contract for 2 years, 4 months. We can't get $800. I'm negotiating an $8.5 million contract for 135 guys. I can't get $800 for all of these guys that come here make an average of $42,000 a year. I can't get an $800 a year raise for these guys that spent anywhere from 1 hour to 130 hours away from their families during hurricane. Over the last 2 years, we've had 3 major storms. The flooding last year, the major snowstorm in October, and then the storm this year. Myself, I probably put in 400 hours of overtime during those 3 storms. That's a lot of time away from my family. $42,000 a year. We make average salary. We're asking for an $800 raise. We can't get it. We see money being spent left and right. There was just an article in the paper from the mayor. I don't read the paper, but people read it for me, and they tell me there was a good article in the paper. Evidently, the town of Parsippany is doing pretty good. There's money to be had, raises given out to white collar with merit raises on top of it, just like the merit raises that were given out last year to white collar. Now, a lot of these are low-paid white collar secretaries, things like that. People going above and beyond. I think that's the words that's used, above and beyond. I don't know how much more above and beyond you go than 120 hours during a storm away from our family. All we're asking for are mediocre. Mediocre. When I say I mean mediocre. $800. Tell me what $800 gets you before taxes. Nothing. That's why we're here today. We've been very, very unhappy the way we've been treated. Like I said, we see money spent, pissed away, left and right. I'm not going to sit here and get into all the details, but that's why we're here, and we'll be back next Tuesday.
I know I can't make a comment based on contract negotiations, but in regards to the comments that Sam Poff made, there's definitely, it's not all true, but in regards to that, I will see Sam probably in a meeting, because he knows it's contractual, and he knows I can't say anything. But we have been negotiating this past week, and other than that, I can't comment, and I wish I could.
All right. Seeing nobody else come forward, I'll entertain a motion to close the public session. Motion by Mr. Farrar. Second by Mr. Karifi. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Karifi, second by Mr. Nelson. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes. Good night, everyone.